Good morning. Hey. So I've been wanting to make this video for a minute, and I finally had the time to really get on in there. There's been a lot of videos, a lot of talk about women and their independence, and women that are too independent, women that aren't independent enough. But I'm not really yet hearing the reason why I myself find it important to be independent, so I'm just going to let it be known. This is the reason why I feel like it's important for a woman to be independent. And by independent, I mean she's not for sale. She's not going to live with a dude just so he can pay her bills. She's not going to marry a dude just so he can pay her bills. She's not going to stay married to a dude just so he can pay her bills. She's not going to have babies with a man so he can pay her bills. She's not going to do anything that is going to lessen her essence in order to have financial stability. That's what independence means to me. That's my definition. That's how I live my life. Now, does that mean that I don't want a husband that is going to protect, provide, do all the things biblically that a husband is supposed to do while I'm doing everything biblically that a wife is supposed to do? No, that doesn't mean that. What it means is that I would rather struggle than put myself in a situation where I am at a man's mercy. That's what I'm talking about. You can tell the difference between an independent woman and a bitter woman by how she responds to what a man does for her. Now, if a guy is in other areas being a good guy, being chivalrous, being honest, being loyal, doing all those things right, and he brings her something or he does something for her, and she's like, I really appreciate that. But if she's like, oh, so you bring a food to my house, what that mean? That means that my food isn't good enough? What does that mean? That means that I don't go grocery shopping? I'm not capable of buying stuff for my house? I'm not capable of doing... If you get lip every time you do something for a woman, it's coming from a place of hurt. And it's not your responsibility to wait around to see if she's going to fix it. Because it's not your problem to fix, it's hers. But if you get to a point where you can kind of get to those under layers and kind of figure out, okay, this is why she's like this. But the thing is, you don't want to spend too much time on it now, because then she'll begin to feel like she can give you lip every time you do something for her. And that becomes y'all's routine. That becomes the basis of the relationship that you have with her. So you got to be careful with that. You don't want to be too lenient. You don't want to be too patient with a woman that has already been so damaged to the point where she has allowed bitterness to come into her heart. Now, for those of us who aren't bitter, for those of us who are just like, you know what? If I have to struggle in order to be able to maintain my dignity, then that's cool. I don't want a man in my life that's not going to be there for the right reasons. I don't want a man just throwing money and attention into a situation just so he can say he did this for me. Just so he can say, you try to make it seem like I did this for you, therefore you have to just accept anything I give you. You have to just, just hush. Just accept that I'm paying for things and taking you places and doing things for you. But my responsibility as a man, as the man in your life, that goes out the window because of what I do for you. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't need that. There have been men specifically that have approached me in a way where I knew that was their MO. That's how they roll. They buy women. I cannot be bought. Some women can be bought. Some women, all they need is for you to throw a little money their way, throw a little bit of attention their way. I'm not a little bit. I don't give a little bit and I don't expect a little bit. I give a lot, therefore I expect a lot. And a woman can be submissive and still be independent. Did you know that? Yes. A woman can still have a way about her that she respects the man in her life as the man in her life, where she doesn't put other people in the place of him in the sense of making it seem like, you're not that important, or like you're dispensable, you're disposable. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with women doing that. And women are kind of almost like taught to do that as a way to protect themselves. That's not protection, sweetie. That's not protection. If you are purposely mistreating a man, to test him, to see how long he's going to stick around, to see how much he can put up with. Oh, and I hate when women do this. That's just me. I just got an attitude. Well, you just going to be single then. Out here messing with good dudes and making the good dudes bitter. And the same thing goes for women. Dudes, leave these good women alone. Okay, if all you want is sex, if all you want is a woman that's going to put up with you cheating, going to put up with you lying, going to put up with you, I don't agree with it. But there are plenty of women out there that don't mind being a sister wife or a sister girlfriend or the sister whatever. And they'll be like, just pay me some attention and you can have and do with whomever you want and just, give me what I want. No. People need to be honest about who the heck they are. If more people were honest about who they were, there would be there'd be less problems in relationships. Less breakups, less divorces, because these relationships wouldn't exist. For the most part, there are people that are just going to lie. They're going to lie just to lie. Like they were born lying, born knowing how to lie. They're just going to lie. Independence is not bad if it's done the right way. I don't believe that a woman has to shout from the mountaintops that she's independent. She just is. Just like a man doesn't have to shout from the mountaintops that he's a good guy. All he has to do is be a good guy. Any guy that has to announce to me that he's a good guy, automatic red flag. Automatic, like, sis, no, not for you. Exit stage left. Don't, Let me see that you're a good guy. Just be who you are. And if that's what I consider a good guy, then that's what I consider a good guy. If not, kick rocks. Here's the thing. I want someone. I don't necessarily want to need him. Because I don't want it to be to a point where, even as a husband, I don't want it to be to the point where I depend on him more than I depend on God. Because all my help comes from the Lord. Any help that comes my way that is beneficial to my life, that adds to my testimony, it all comes from him anyway. So I don't ever want to get to a point where I depend on a man so much that I forget that it's God that blesses him with whatever resources he has that he would be using to support me as his wife. There are a lot of women that are out here that gave their all to one wrong dude. It's almost like it's changed the wiring of their brain where they are so hyper vigilant. And yeah, I've been there. I'm still working my way through the hypervigilance. You get so hyper vigilant that it's just like you would just rather be alone than to have to pick and sift through all the bull crap. Pay attention to your intuition. Pay attention to your discernment. If it doesn't seem right, if he don't seem right, he ain't right. Because there's something about him that's throwing you off. There's something about him that you're trying to figure out. And this entire year, my intuition has been tested over and over again, and it's been right. Every single time I have felt a certain way about not even just a guy, but about a situation, it's been right. And you just have to, the more you learn how to trust yourself and trust the intuition and the discernment that God has given you, the easier it will get. And yes, sometimes you will be wrong. Sometimes it will be slightly less than what you thought it was, or slightly more than what you thought it was. But for the most part, that gut feeling that you feel, that twinge in your stomach you feel when that person sends you a text message, or that feeling where you just like, that means something, and you need to pay attention to it, and you need to stop second guessing and downgrading yourself just because you made a mistake about somebody in the past. You let somebody in. It's like you're opening the door of your house, you're bringing in groceries, and you accidentally let a fly in the house. And you battle with that fly all day, all night, until you finally kill it. What's going to happen the next time you bring in groceries? You're going to be like, let me make sure I close the door real fast. Because you remember what happened the last time, right? That's what happens in our hearts and our minds when someone comes into our life and they weren't meant to be there or weren't meant to be there in that capacity. They come in, things happen, you realize that that person is not good for you, you know, separate yourself from them, and then you patch up that part that they were occupying, and you're like, okay, now I gotta make sure I'm more careful. Don't get so careful to the point where you're hyper vigilant. When women are super independent to the point where there is no room for a guy to come in at all, not even to love them. I love myself, I don't need you to love. It's like, you can love yourself and allow a man to love you. You can take care of your own business, but also allow the right person to come in and say, hey, you know, I see you out here doing your thing. I see you. Let me do something for you. Let me do this. Let me do that. It all depends on the guy. Okay? All guys are not dogs. All guys are not liars. You have to understand that just because that one dude was not a good dude for you, that doesn't mean that you will never experience real love. That doesn't mean that you'll never experience true intimacy with someone. I've been really hurt by certain things that have happened, but I still have it in my mind that just because that situation did not work out or did not go the way I thought it would, that does not mean at all that I can never be happy with a man. That does not mean at all that I can never encounter a man that is truly for me, that is truly God's best for me. That it's not over for me in that respect. It's not over. So you have to have that in the back of your mind, like, okay, I'm being careful, but I also don't want to push the right man out of my life, because that can happen too. There are a lot of women right now, honestly, that are single that really wouldn't be single if they weren't so like, I don't need a man. I don't need a man. You know, it's like you can hear them coming. You hear out of distance, I don't need a man. Oh, sis. It's in my throat. I don't like it. No. It's just, it's unpalatable. And a man could smell that from a mile away, and he's like, no thanks. And, you know, transparency alert. There might have been times back in, you know, circa 2013, 2014, 2015, where I might have put out that vibe. I might have put out that I don't need nobody vibe. I might have. Some of my videos might have put out that. But I was so just like, I just had so much fervor in just explaining that I was not here for the bull crap. That I think I might have turned a couple of guys off that might have seen me as someone as a potential partner, potential spouse. I can admit that. It hurt a little bit to admit that. But if you're not honest with yourself, how can you ever be honest with anybody else? If you don't first see the issue in you and try to fix it, how in the world can someone else feel comfortable enough to come into your life? Because if you're lying to yourself, you're going to be lying to me. You can't lie to God, because God knows the truth. He knows the truth in all things. There's nothing that happens on this earth that is hidden from him. So you can't lie to him, but you can't lie to yourself. And if you can lie to yourself convincingly, then you can lie to someone else convincingly. It's not that a woman is being independent for the sake of being independent. Because I can't remember whether I mentioned this in the video or not before, but I grew up in the house mostly, most of the time with my mother and my grandmother. And I never saw either one of them with a man. Now, both of them are straight. So it wasn't that they were lesbians and trying to deal with their lesbianism or anything like that. It's just that I never saw them with a man. I never saw my grandmother date. I never saw my mother date. And that does affect a little girl when you grow up in a house with two women that you don't see with a man. You don't see them interact with men on that level. So I kind of had to learn this crap on the fly. And I have made a lot of mistakes learning on the fly. But, it's better to have, learned the lesson late than have not learned the lesson at all. So I say thank you, Lord, that I eventually I'm learning more. I was watching so many sermons about marriage and submission and, the structure of a marriage, the structure of a relationship. And I was reading so many books about it and just listening to so many different perspectives about it. And I really thought I had a good handle on certain things. It's like I had a general handle on it. But for what happened to me, I wasn't ready. I was not ready for that. I didn't see that coming at all. So it's like I had to learn everything on the fly still. So that proves no matter how much you study, no matter how many books you read, no matter how many sermons you watch, no matter how many seminars you go to, no matter how many whatever resources that you take advantage of to learn about this thing, you don't know everything. Just like a doctor can go to school for umpteen amount of years and they can do mock surgeries and do all these different things. Somebody's pulling up. But just like somebody can learn all of these things, nothing prepares them for actually being in the operating room, for actually being in the ER, for actually being in true life and death situations. It's the same way with relationships. It's the same way with dating. It's the same way with marriage. So, for those of us that have had moments where they've been a little too independent, let's gather ourselves, reevaluate, and make sure that we're not throwing off the wrong signals. And make sure that we're not, because the same signal, ironically, the same signal that turns off good guys turns on the bad guys and attracts those type of dudes that are like, I can play with that a little bit. And also do some positive affirmations about that. Write down and focus on the positive aspects that you want out of your future husband. And begin to speak positively about it instead of like, I'm tired of these dudes out here. All they want is this and all they want is that, and they don't understand, and I'm not for sale. But just be like, you know what? My husband is going to be like such and such and such. My husband is going to be this way. My husband is going to do that. My husband, and speak positively about how you would react to those things. We need to affirm and reaffirm the positive things. And I think all of us would be a lot happier and a lot more content with our present situation, in knowing that the present situation, it doesn't mean that it's permanent. It's present, but it's not permanent. Ooh, I felt that. Glory. I needed that. It's present, but it's not permanent. Because I know sometimes it feels permanent. It feels like the moment you are in, it feels like it will never end. But I promise you it will. And this video, God, I really don't want this video to be a two-parter. I want it to be all in one video, but it's present, but it's not permanent. I'm going to leave it on that note. Okay? Love you guys. Bye.